Hello. How are we today on this wonderful Friday, the 13th of January? Friday the 13th. Couldn't be luckier. How you doing today? Today we're doing a bit of a Q&A. I've got a couple of questions. But we'll see. We'll see what happens as we go. Maybe it'll be a podcast episode. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. Maybe we'll just see what happens. I'm trying to see. I think that's a wire right there for my lights. It wasn't there earlier, I don't think, in my scenes. Yeah. There's a electrical thing. But how are we doing today? Because, I remembered. It's Friday. Whoop, 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 whoop. It is all day. Unless it's your Saturday. But welcome to the stream. Hey Hans, great to have you here. Happy Friday to you. Hey Judith, great to have you too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. MZ is here. We have Michelle as well. I hope you're feeling good. And how was your time, or is your time with your son? My week has been beautiful. A really good week. A really good week. Been doing a lot. In terms of like my program and interacting and kind of all the work side of things. So it's been kind of busy. But I got some good workouts. Ran 4 miles yesterday. Good workout today. Used the 4-hour sleep hypnosis last night. What? Great. Awesome. Hopefully you'll keep listening. And there's different subjects online as well. Hey Edward, great to have you here. MZ says, do you live in the hills? If so, I pray that you and the fam stay safe. I partly grew up during the coast near Santa Barbara. During one bad winter, a whole section of highway washed away. Wowza. I'm all good where I am. I am in the hilly-ish areas. But it's been dry today. Speaking of which, I get notifications on the listening device. I won't say their name so it doesn't activate yours. But where I am is safe. So thank you for that. But I do live in the like hilly-ish areas. But I went for a nice run yesterday. My running shoes got a little bit muddy. Hey, welcome back again. Keep on coming back this week, right? Great to have you here. Let's go. It's been lucky. Yeah, like it. You fear landslides more than floods. Yeah, there was one year I was going to go up. I don't think. Maybe it wasn't me, but maybe it was a family member who flew out. Maybe it was me going up Big Sur, and some of the road was unaccessible due to a landslide. But yeah, all's safe where I am. But I appreciate you asking for that. I can't get my words out today. Hey Steph, great to have you here as well. Our friend is here as well. Well, look at this. Look at this. Hello to all. Can't get my words out right. It's going to be great for a Q&A. Hello to all. Hope you had a fantastic week. If you didn't, it's over. Make it a great weekend. I love it. That is what we want. I will save that for the Q&A. Welcome back as well. Happy Friday to you and good evening to you. For me, it's kind of like, what would you say 3 p.m. is? I'd probably say mid-afternoon for me. But good evening to you. Welcome as well. Welcome, welcome. Hello to you. Absolutely well said. Let me go back to that right there. I love it. Yeah, it's been fine. There was some big waves, supposedly. So there were some big waves. 3 p.m. is afternoon, yeah. I'd say mid-afternoon, but afternoon. Edward said, wow, just took a look at your YouTube videos. Didn't know you were a therapist. What is your advice on overcoming anxiety and worriness in life? Yeah, I got a ton of videos on hypnosis and coaching and these live streams. But I'll save this question for, hey, why can't I favor your one? Oh, there we go. On my little list. So if you're new here, for everyone listening, I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. East Coast, 11 p.m. in England, and we have a little bit of a pre-chat, and then we get onto the recording of the episode, which will go onto the podcast and the app, and yeah, pretty much it. We have a little pre-talk, bit of after-talk. We'll see what happens. But today will be a Q&A live stream, so keep your questions coming. I've got a couple already. Afternoon for you all. Yeah, afternoon. No, I didn't put that question. I thought I'd answer that question straight away because it's easier. Hey Sarah, great to have you back as well. Hope you're doing well in your Friday evening, 11:07 p.m. So we're going to be doing a hypnosis session. Hypnosis? We're going to do a Q&A because it's Friday. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm getting bored of that one now. We could record another one. But yeah, I got a couple of questions. And depending how many we get, it may or may not become a podcast episode. We might just keep this one private. We'll see. Just between us. Just between us. But we'll see. But then we can expand those questions and add on to them, so maybe it'll be good as well. I will answer that one. Perfect, my friend. Any other good questions we want to go into? Any others? I've got almost a whole weekend off work. As in things I've got to do or not do. Which could be nice. Almost a whole weekend off. But other than that, I might do some lazy work. I've got a lot of projects to do. I've got a to-do list, which is very, very big. What are the limits of hypnosis? Ooh, that's an interesting one. I don't know, we'll see. What are the limits? I don't know. Okay. Oops. Doot, doot. Good question. I'll add that to the list, to the queue. Any other good questions we can get into today? Could be any kind of question. If it's any kind of normal, I say normal. If it's another question, I'll answer it now. But if it's other questions regarding like mental health, I'll give my advice on the podcast episode. Perfect. Good. I'm just showing them on the screen and then favoriting them so I can go back to them. So we got 9 questions. 10, 11, 12 in total. That's pretty good. That'll take us a bit of time and we can expand upon them. And this is going to be episode 779. Almost at 800 episodes. Good question. What is another good question we can have? Any others before we get started? We'll start a little bit earlier, maybe. Maybe finish a little bit earlier, being a Friday. Because usually we have some questions after the stream. Yeah, that's a great idea, Sarah. We got a good question about... Here's a question. I'll say it to you now just to give you some ideas. What is the difference between hypnotizing someone and brainwashing? Can hypnosis be used to brainwash someone? So I'll be going into that question. I'll answer that one. I'll add that to the list as well. I need to sometimes read some of these just so I like to take them organically, but it's more about me trying to read, which is the challenge sometimes. But yeah, it's a great question. I'll try to combine those ones. Ooh, already good one. That's a really good one. And I almost started answering it. So we'll keep that one. Boop. Now we got 15 questions. 15 questions. And you can keep them coming if you get more. And I'll go back into the chat to see if there is, and I'll just do a quick edit if we do use it as a replay or a podcast episode. But I do need to hydrate. I know I've done that twice already. What do you see the biggest difference between UK and US clients when it comes to hypnosis and therapy? Great question. So, should we get into it? Put a 1 in the chat if we should just get into it. Oh, that's a good one on the business side. I got a great analogy for that. I'll try and remember it. A little kind of image to paint in your mind. So we've got one person saying, yeah, well, let's get started. Anyone else? There we go, we got 2. We got two. Any advances on more ones over the 2 ones? Good question. I love it. So I think we'll get going then. Keep putting in the questions there if you have any. But I'll go to the ones I've favorited, which will be on another list of mine, and then we will go ahead and see. And I've got a couple on my phone as well. There was one funny one, which I won't do on the podcast. But how many holes does a straw have? Now, if we're talking like a drinking straw, There'd be 2 holes, right? Is that like a trick question I'm not aware of? Someone trying to trick me there? Is there something I don't know? Or if we're talking about the crop of straw, then no holes. Or maybe micro holes. Who knows? Oh, I was just saying, should we get going? Put a 1 in the chat if we should get going. That's all. Only 1 hole. Really? It can't be 1 hole. There's 2 holes. Because you sip it through 1 hole and it goes through the other hole. Am I being silly here? Do I need hypnosis? Have I been brainwashed to think? Oh, there's got to be 2 holes. Alright, so think about it. It's 2 circles though. Right? How many holes is that? Now you do it that way, you got 2. You may drink out of only 1, but the straw has 2 holes. Are you all mad? How many holes does a tunnel have? Well, 1 on one side and 1 on the other. 2 ends of the same hole. No, I'm not taking it. No. This is where we would disagree. There's 2 holes. Because it goes through 1 hole, out through the other one. I do have a lot of people who are coaches and psychotherapists, so I'm happy to answer some of these kind of questions as well. Depending what side you're looking at. If I look at the other side as a hole, if I look at the other side as a hole. I'm pleased we didn't answer this on the podcast. Yeah, I'm not convinced. It's 2. A straw. Depending what side you're looking at, there's 2. If I had the magic to fly, where would you fly to and why? Well, I could get on a plane, I guess, as well, but I think I haven't been to Hawaii. I'd like to go to Hawaii. I'm torn to someone who is in Alaska too, because I want to see the northern lights. That might be a bit cold flying there, if I could fly. So maybe Hawaii. Yeah, 2. 2 holes then. A meerkat. Now I'm confused even more. Isn't that an animal? Isn't a meerkat an animal? Hey Renee, great to have you here. Welcome. We haven't even got to the Q&A yet, but we've got a debate going on. A drinking straw, how many holes does it have? Correct. Oh, no, correct. Any animals with tunnel. Oh, I see, because they bury. No. Whatever the word is. 2 holes, see? There we go, that's a good idea. Yeah, the meerkats from the advert. So, we all agree, other than those who don't agree, but there are 2 holes. Here's the thing, right? Say I've got a can of soda pop, right? A can of soda pop. There's a hole, and I drink out of that 1 hole. If I put a hole on the other side, it becomes effectively a weird straw, which must mean there's 2 holes. Yes. Definitely. I haven't seen them before. That's the keyword, only drinking from out of one side. One side, there's 2 sides, right? Hey Sue, great to have you back as well. We're in a weird debate. Yeah, it's an interesting question, but we can all agree that there's 2 holes. I'm not gonna... Nope, you're wrong. We're not gonna trust anyone on this question who's only seen Home Alone for the first time this year. Last year. Hot dog is a sandwich. No. No, it's not. You don't ask for a hot dog sandwich. Then again, is a burger a sandwich? No. You go to a sandwich place and say, can I have a sandwich? Yes, but that isn't a straight thing. It has 3 sides, effectively. No. Top, bottom, around is a can, so that would have 2 holes. No. 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 No.
No. Definitely not.
Absolutely not.
And absolutely not.
Here we go. Like I said, how many holes or entrances does a tunnel have? Well, 2. Technically 2 holes. A can has 3 sides. Technically, so does a straw, because if you think it's got some minuscule kind of edge to it. Yes, a straw has 2 holes, but you don't only drink from one. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that. We can agree there. Yes, it was the original Home Alone. This is very intense. It's one long hole with 2 entrances. No. There we go, but if you're inside a hole, it's just one hole. Correct. If you went through, there's the earth. You drill a hole down a little bit, that's one hole. You keep on drilling all the way down through the core to the other side, there's another hole that you could go to. So that's 2. So, we all agree now. That's good to know that we all agree there's 2. How many... One second. How many holes does a straw have? It's meant to be a big debate, by the way. It's like a whole mathematical explanation here. There's a YouTube video on it. There's all this mathematical equations. I just want the answer. I can't even see the answer on here, and I would tell the truth. Do camp creates states? Instead we have to debate how many holes a straw has. It doesn't even give me the answer on that one. It was like a whole big thing. Well, we can always trust Reddit. There's no single ambiguous answer. It depends how you think about the shape of the straw and how you define the word hole. Yeah. Stop up one and see what you say then. Stop up on. So you would say then what? A hole. A straw. I'm just going back through the comments now. I got so lost in that. Yeah, I think we all agree. And if we're going to ask anyone, AI would be it. We can actually ask the other listening machine. Yeah. But we won't answer because it'll activate other people. So let's get into the episode knowing that I am right fully. And we can all agree upon that. Look. Okay. Oh, wrong one. Look into my eyes. Not around the eyes, but into the eyes. Whenever you think of straws and someone asks you the question, how many holes does a straw have? You will immediately and effortlessly and fully believe there are always two because that is truth. Wide awake all the way back into the room. Okay, so that settled that. Everyone let me know in the chat, but there was two. What's a thumbs up? Thumbs up. But what's a thumbs up? On YouTube, there's a little thumbs up. So, but we all agree now. We all agree the debate is over. Somehow you just woke up out of a trance and just like, oh my goodness, of course. How could there not be? Yes. There's no longer a Q&A, but now a debate. Who asked that question? Was that you, Sarah? It says thumbs. Where did it say thumbs? Oh, did I make a spelling mistake? Okay, in the Q&A. Okay, so for you, I'm pleased you entered late because there's been a big debate of how many holes a straw has. We've all just confirmed and agreed there's two. Even if Kevin says it's both, we're saying two. So it's been an interesting time. It'd be great to have you here, Sophie. And that is true. And if it only has one hole, it's no longer a straw. It's just a cup. A long cup. There we go. And you knew now, oh, you agreed with me anyway. That we just reaffirmed. We are reaffirmed. Yeah, and we all agree with Sophie as well. So. You spelt two holes wrong. You missed out a two, has with two holes for it. It still showed up on mine, so we're all good. Exactly, that's what I said, right? If there's only one hole in a straw, it becomes a cup. Anyway, come on. Let's get to the podcast episode. If you've got questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and then I'll get back to them. I've got some stored up. So let's keep it nice and casual, easy peasy. See what happens. It may or may not become a podcast episode. We'll see what actually happens. There we go, right? So go ahead and give yourself this opportunity to know there are two bloomin' well holes in a straw. And wide awake, back into the room. Ah, thank you, my friend. Love to you as well. My music went off again. Love it. You are a superstar, Sophie. Superstar. So happy for you, Sophie. You're awesome. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked now, and that's great, by the way. I'm not saying I got sidetracked by that, but just in general with the whole debate. Let's get on to the episode and just see what happens, as I said. So we'll turn this down for a second and then remember where I am in the world, back into the normal universe, and let's get to some questions. Ready? Steady? So sorry to hear that, my friend. Hopefully this episode will help as well. Okay, let's get to it. Ready, steady, let's go. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 779. Now we're going to keep it nice and easy today because this is being broadcasted live on YouTube, and we thought we'd have a nice little Q&A. So some of these questions will be really relative to you or relatable to you. Some might not, but here's the thing. Questions will create other questions within you. And I love questions. I always say the only bad question is the one which was never asked. So remember, when someone gives you a question, it leads you to question other things or consider things in a whole new way. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We have some questions lined up, and we've got about 24 now, I think, or no, about 20 or so. And that is what we'll get into right now. So the first question we have is, why do some people find it's easier than others to be hypnotized? Well, everyone is totally unique in every single way. Like, some people can take to riding a bike very quickly, some are a little bit less. So all trance is learning how to go into trance. And the other aspect to hypnosis is really about the expectation of the hypnosis. You see, most people think that they're going to be out for the count, that they're going to just wake up and go, I am a chicken, or I am no longer XYZ and I'm now this, where really it's an altered state of awareness, a learning state. And the more times you do it, the quicker and easier it is to do. So if you're just starting out listening to my hypnosis tracks, the lesson here within that question is persistence in learning to let go. Sometimes you got to get out your own way. And that is another thing about hypnosis. We think that it's dangerous at times. We've seen the stage hypnotists do their thing. But in reality, when you think of stage hypnosis, to put you at ease, there are two types of people who go to a stage hypnotist show. Those who want to see people be hypnotized, and those who want to be hypnotized up on stage. So there's a willingness here. Now, some people have hesitation about hypnosis, so therefore they become less compliant. So I want you to realize that hypnosis is safe, right? With the right person, of course. But when you realize that it's safe and it is just a learning state, and the more you do it, you get better at it, you'll go into trance quicker. But one of the reasons as to why people don't always go into trance as quick compared to others is simply because maybe their own reservations or their own expectations, they can get in their own way. Okay, so that is the first question that we're going to go into, and that's going to be really helpful, by the way, because now you know, if you keep on listening to hypnosis or finding a competent hypnotist or hypnotherapist who you trust, because that could be another one as well, who you resonate with, you want to make sure that actually, hey, it's just a learning state, and the more I do it, the better I get, and therefore it becomes easier to be hypnotized. So we've got another question here. I have fears around sharing my feelings and the needs with other people. What can I do to overcome those fears? I just feel the need for sharing and expressing, but have a huge fear of around the sharing. So when it comes to this question, it's a very, very good question, like all the questions. But ultimately, we feel fear about sharing because we don't want to be hurt. Let's just take this question and expand it to other things. Fear is trying to protect us. And therefore, if we're sharing a part of ourselves, like an opinion or our feelings around people, we may not feel comfortable in who we're sharing it with. Whether it be logically okay, like we could have the most loving partner who we want to share, and we know in our mind that that partner is going to treat us in a non-judgmental way. But inside of ourselves, we are judging, here's the real thing, we are judging other people's opinions before they've been formulated to be true or not. So therefore, we make a judgment that they may ridicule, or they may not agree, or we may feel like we may get judged in some way, and it causes us to stay stuck. So one of the little tips I would start to do, and just thinking about it in my mind, I would first start exploring the ability to get your thoughts and opinions and feelings in a small way. Get it on paper first. But the reason why I say that, metaphorically, we're getting it out of our system. Rather it's staying on the inside, we're expressing, so it could be journaling. And then, in my opinion, you've got to ask yourself, who is going to be the most beneficial? Who's going to receive my concerns or my questions or my feelings in the most wonderful way? In a way, because sometimes maybe in the past we've shared them and suddenly, oh my goodness, there's been consequences, or you weren't seen, heard, or felt, you were dismissed. So it's important to be able to choose the right kind of person or the right atmosphere in order to ask them. And it can still be scary. Don't get me wrong, it can be still scary. But I would be reaffirming to my unconscious mind and go, look, I'm willing to be vulnerable, which means I am strong. Like, we think expressing our feelings is a moment of weakness, but being vulnerable is actually a strength in quality, or a quality as a strength. So we gotta get into our mind that, look, that's okay. So start being vulnerable with yourself, expressing your thoughts on paper, and then start to find the people who you feel would be beneficial. And another simple thing is this, to start it off, when you have that person in your life, you say to them, look, I want to share something with you, and I'd like you to give me in an objective or a non-judgment way. I just need to outlet something. So you're setting the parameters or the boundaries of how that feedback is going to come back to you. So you can set up those boundaries and parameters by simply saying, look, I really trust you as a person. I really want to share some thoughts and feelings I have about this certain situation I'm going through. And this is how I would like it to be, if it's okay, because I'm just kind of working this out. Now, if they're a nice person, they will be the observer and be able to then kind of fulfill those boundaries. So that's what I'd start small, and then trust the right person, and then set the right parameters that will allow you to express it in a way that is comfortable. Hopefully that helps in a question right there. So we've got another question here. Can the pain or negative memories be stored in the body? I once went into trance during a massage and saw myself crying, and I wondered if the masseuse released something from me because I did feel lighter. Okay. Number one, that's not a common experience, but it's an experience that happens. There are many, many books on this. And we can just think about it objectively, that you feel emotion. It is contained within you. That's why we get stressed. We can have physical symptoms, right? So that is stored within us. Just like a memory is going to be charged with an emotion. Now that memory is within our system. And you can, like I said, go into, maybe look into the book like Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. That might be a good one if you want to go deeper into it. But there's lots of examples where people have had some kind of physical touch or pressure, and it evokes an emotional state. So absolutely, physical touch or pressure can evoke that. It can start to release it. So our body and our mind is stored without or throughout our whole system. That is why we get like a pain in the back or a pain in the neck, all those types of things. These are metaphors, but also within us, we are the container of that emotion. And that is why when you release the emotion, you feel energetically lighter. If we go to a bit of a different subject here, if we think of, say, depression, if you summarize or characterize or stereotypically how a depressed person would be, what would they look like? What's their physiology like? It's going to be like sunken down. It's going to be looking down. It's going to feel heavy. And every time I speak to people, they say, look, there's a heavy feeling of this imposter syndrome. And then I ask them certain questions to flip it around, and they suddenly say, I feel free. I feel liberated. So we know that emotion is heavy or light. It vibrates at a certain level, in my opinion, like more dense to a higher vibration. So I would absolutely say, yes, in my opinion, I'm no medical doctor, that pain, negative emotions are stored in the body. Can people be hypnotized to do things they wouldn't want to do? Now, here's another good question about hypnosis, in case you're a little bit fearful about hypnosis. If we take, once again, objectively, what are we working with in hypnosis? Well, it's not the conscious mind. We're trying to bypass the conscious mind. So therefore, we're trying to work with the unconscious mind. Because if you could let go of the issue, you would let go of the issue. If you cannot, it must mean it is stored within you. Now, one of the prime directives, you could say, of the unconscious mind, other than things like fight and flight response, the beliefs and emotions and the repression and the releasing, the biology, all of that stuff, one of the other ones are, it runs by values, the values that you were taught growing up. So this is where it gets interesting. If I said to you in trance to rob a bank, okay? If that goes against your values, you will deny that suggestion because it is important to you. You have a higher value that, no, that's doing a bad deed. That's not a good thing. Now, of course, if you were a robber of banks, you'd probably go, yeah, I do that all the time. I have no issues with that. I've been born that way. Well, not born that way, but like accustomed to be that way. So if that is true, which it is, depending on the quality of your values, will allow you to cause you to act certain things out. Now, there's going to be a follow-up question with someone else, which is, what is the difference between hypnotizing someone and brainwashing? Can hypnosis be used to brainwash? So we're going to combine those two questions from two different people. If we think of what brainwashing is about consistency. And I've read a lot about cults, for example. I really love documentaries on cults. And usually the person has to be in a vulnerable state of mind, right? They feel broken or they've gone through a lot of abuse and therefore they're seeking help in some way. And then someone comes along who says, I have the answers. We could span it out to lots of different kind of things. We can even span it out to, say, narcissists and people who feel very vulnerable as a person, not good enough. Well, suddenly they're hypnotized by this narcissist or cult or this person because they feel like they're missing something and they want it. So that is really what is a level of conditioning. It takes time though, right? It takes time to be conditioned, but it'll be based on your value system. That's the key here. And that's why I believe hypnosis is absolutely safe, and you won't be made to do things you don't want to do because it has that prime directive of running by your values. Think about it. It's hard to change your values, just like it's hard to change your belief. It's important to you, and it's stored at an unconscious level. But the difference between hypnotizing someone and brainwashing is this. Take the brainwashing as a do-to experience, right? That's that. Hypnosis, in my opinion, is a do-with process. It's a cooperative flow of energy and intention to a desired outcome. So if I'm just doing to hypnosis, it's like, you will do this and you will do that. It's not that good. You want to have that cooperative flow of energy. And that is the difference between hypnosis. The intention behind it from one or more parties. And that's what I'd really go for. And with that, let's go for another question. How many sessions of hypnosis to overcome fear, anxiety, worriness? How long does it take to see real life changes? Well, depends. It depends on a couple of things. If we take that past example, I love how this is falling together. It's a cooperative flow of energy, right? Between the hypnotee and the hypnotist in this case. Now, if you are unwilling to want to let go of anxiety, and you go, why would you do that? Well, there's something called secondary gains. We get gains from the problems that we have. So although anxiety, the positive gain there could be, but it's trying to think of all the ways of what could happen in case something happens to protect you, your unconscious mind's going to run by that all the time. If you don't provide, or the hypnotist or hypnotherapist or solution maker doesn't provide the unconscious mind a safer solution to the original problem, it's going to stay the same. So that means it comes down to the quality of the hypnotist, or the approach or the technique, but also the willingness of the hypnotee. You may be, if you're being forced to go to a hypnotist session, you might not change. Once again, you've got to have that will and desire. You've got to assume responsibility. You've got to really want it, in other words. But if you really want it, and that hypnotist is really, really good, and it comes from different angles maybe. Like in my program, our goal and job is to let go of the anxiety, but we go deeper than that within the 8-week period. That's what I really, really aim for. Now, the other thing is, and here's what I'm going to say to this question right here, and this might annoy, maybe not annoy him, but go against some values, but it may be an epiphany. Usually fear and worry is not the issue. It's not the issue, it's the symptom. This is where I will kind of throw some rocks at, not physical rocks at hypnotherapists. That's not good at all, so I'll take that back. But metaphorically, is because they work on the symptom. I do not work on the symptoms. So if you were to work with a hypnotherapist on just your symptoms, you are going to probably stay for a long time. It might go for a while and then come back. You want to find someone who works on the root cause. So it's a very hard question of how many sessions it takes or how much time it takes, but it can be done very quickly compared to how long you've had it for if you find a good, competent hypnotherapist, hypnotist, coach, practitioner, group, whatever it may be. What hypnosis, because this was a bit of a follow-up question, in other words, what can't be helped with hypnosis? I think everything can be helped with hypnosis, I can't think of many examples which is not going to be valuable tool, even if it's to alleviate some things. Even like, for example, and I'm no medical doctor once again, but hypnosis has been used to help recovery in lots of studies when it comes to physical illness or the restoration. So I really think it can be used for lots of good things. But once again, it depends on intention and outcome, okay? And what people should be looking for when they consider a hypnotherapist, main thing is for me, is to know if know their intention, as in get connected with them, make sure they've studied at the right places. But mainly it's about finding rapport, okay? You've got to feel like the person understands you. And I really believe that. Like on the flip side, when I work with people, when we like kind of choose to work with them in that program, I genuinely like them. I really, really like everyone who goes into my program. Otherwise, I won't work with them. I will send them elsewhere. So I would want to find someone who is so passionate about overcoming your issue that you're almost like, wow, that person's more passionate than me. because sometimes we need that extra belief. But if I were to look for people as a therapist, I'd be looking for that passion and purpose, even beyond sometimes qualification, in my opinion. Like, you need qualification, but if that person is not that enjoying it, passionate about it, then that's going to be communicated to the hypnotee in that case. What is the biggest difference between the UK and US clients when it comes to hypnosis and hypnotherapy? To be honest, I don't see a huge difference. I don't really see a difference at all in that regards. I think the societies are pretty similar. I think maybe America originally was more taken to self-development in the beginning, but I would say they're pretty similar. We've got some hypnosis questions about business side of things, so we'll get to the other ones as well. Why are niches so important with a hypnotherapist? And we can do this with business as well. If you think about this as a business question in general, weird analogy. You go into a big shopping center or a mall in America, and you just got on top of the tables, and you said, I'm a hypnotherapist. I let go of anxiety, worry, fear. I let go of presentation skills. I let go of smoking. I let go of weight issues. I let go of, like, before you know it, no one's listening to you. Like, some people go, oh, no, that's not me. Or that was me, oh, but that's not me. So that means it's very hard to communicate as a mass level in that analogy. But if you said, look, get on that table again, and you go, look, I am a hypnotherapist and I let go of the imposter syndrome all within 8 weeks for an undeniable experience of deep self-certainty and confidence, suddenly you are speaking to the person who really needs to hear it. You are hitting all the buttons there. You are being so precise that it allows that person to look up and go, oh, there's a person on top of a table right there saying about that stuff. But as an analogy, that is why being a niche is so important. I've done that one. We'll get back to some other hypnosis ones soon. What do I think is the biggest problem people are going through right now? I think right now there's a lot of fear and dividedness right now. I think we feel very separated from people, whether it be the last few years, or whether it be politically, or whether it be fill in the blank. I think we've become very separated, whether it be on social media. There's a lot of separation at the moment. And you can turn it around, of course, but I think separation is creating a lot of fear and anxiety and worry about ourselves. I would say that's probably one of the biggest things right now, because then we start to feel alone and we start to then reaffirm the ideas that maybe I'm not enough or worthy. But on top of that, I would probably say one of the biggest things in life in general is mindsets and beliefs of not having worth. That is probably the biggest thing that creates the most issues, because once again, there's higher expectations, there's society, there's fear, there's worry and doubt, and it causes us to feel that separation, but also to doubt our own belief. And that's where like things like the imposter syndrome, panic attacks, anxiety, not going for that promotion, it's the limiting belief behind ourselves. I think that's probably one of the biggest things in terms of what society is going through. And that's why I'm so passionate about that as well. We've also got a question here which came in earlier. How can I make peace with all the traumas from a childhood to middle age? Well, a lot of grace to that part of you. I was having a conversation today that it's important to remember at the time of that experience, let's say in this example a question, you were young and you weren't able to process that well at all. Even as an adult going through significant events We weren't able to process that experience maybe. It happens to this day, right? But especially when we were young, we did not have the ability. So we made decisions which formulated into beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. And it caused us to have emotions tied to those negative memories, right? So the way, in my opinion, to release the past and see a different way is to get the unconscious mind to learn. Emotions such as anger, sadness, fear, guilt, heart, frustration, jealousy, shame, all of those things, I don't know if I said guilt, but if not, we get it twice, all have positive intentions. That memory is charged with them to try to protect us in some way for the future. So we've got to get the unconscious mind to realize that those emotions or the decisions which were made back then were limiting, and that we can learn and grow from them. That's what I'll be doing. Like, even within my program, we go through a lot of that, of evolving that part of us unconsciously, because metaphorically it's stuck. I'm not talking about necessarily inner child here. I'm just talking about we made decisions when we were young about ourselves and the world and how we experienced that situation. So we need to undo the decision by getting the unconscious mind to learn what it's needed to learn, which will keep you safer in the future. That's why we use hypnosis. That is why people go into like my program or see other people. It's about providing learnings and growth at an unconscious level. When you learn, there is no need to have the emotion of anger. When you learn to let go of that limiting decision or belief, you don't have to feel shame anymore. You don't have to have anger toward the past. So it starts with taking responsibility for this present moment and taking ownership that you're in charge of your mind and your body, and then doing the work and getting the learnings that are needed at an unconscious level. That's what I would say right there. Got a question right here just about general, if you're a hypnotist, what type of deepeners work best for you if your clients over Zoom? Honestly, all deepeners work in my opinion. It's whatever feels good. The person with the most conviction in any conversation carries through the suggestion. So when you're just have and this, I'm broadening this out for everyone, you've got to be a good communicator with deep self-certainty. If you want to be able to go into a conversation, not necessarily to win, but to be able to communicate effectively, you've got to have conviction. So in any form of style of going into trance or deepener, it doesn't really matter. It's about the intention and the commitment and the decisiveness behind your words. As we broaden this out, 93% of all communication is unconscious. 7% is the words that we say. So about our tonality and our physiology, which will resonate with the person. So it's less, in other words, for everyone, or if you're a hypnotist, it's less about technique. It's about the intention. Remember the original thing about seeing a client or choosing a practitioner? It's that cooperative flow of energy. Right? You got to feel rapport there. You got to think about the intention. If that person trusts you, they'll go into a trance no matter what. If you, they might not always feel like it's trance because they have expectations, but ultimately, you want to be able to communicate in a way that just causes them to go into trance. So that is what I would go for there. Now, we've got one for breaking the sugar addiction. I would say on that one, we got to make sure, is there anything behind it? Like, is there a root cause that needs to be solved first? So we put our energy into that. And the reason I say that is, number one, we can get change of state. Sugar rush changes our emotional state, or we do that to change like our emotional escapism. Let's just say something like that, an addiction as well in general. But it can also be habitual. Now, in my program, I'm speaking to you directly, doing things like the swish pattern and things like that is going to make a big interruption. But if I generalize this to other people as well, we got to just think about it as a strategy. Every time you see it, When you have that thought, you've got to interrupt the pattern somehow, some way. And it can take time when it comes to addiction. And it's not always good, let's just span this out once again, to just do a cold turkey stop. For some people, it can just have that epiphany and that's it. I'm no longer going to be a smoker. I'm no longer going to do X, Y, Z. Sometimes that can happen. Other times you may want to decrease because it is a biological reaction. We've become accustomed to that thing, whatever that may be. Your body, where it be like caffeine, your body has an expectation that this happens. So decreasing while interrupting the pattern and the strategy, and if there's a root cause behind it as well, to be conscious of that, is going to make a real big dent in that addiction. But just remember, yes, there's something behind it sometimes, but be gentle that it is a strategy where you are interacting with yourself and the external world. And if you can interrupt that pattern, that is where you'll start to make some wonderful changes. So let's just see if we've got other questions. I highlighted these. So this, maybe on one of the edits for those on the live stream, unless I forget to edit this one out. And then you got it on the podcast as well. Let's go ahead and see. That's that question. Oh my goodness, I've lost all my comments because it's being broadcasted live, just in case I forgot to edit this part. We can have fun with that. Where did I just like deleting issues, I deleted the comments. So I'm going back to some of these questions right here, if I can see them. I should have said put a Q in the chat as well. Let's just see. Okay, well, a question here. Have I had people that can't be hypnotized, that they resist it? Anyone can be hypnotized on two conditions. I really mean this. Once again, it's about the expectation of hypnosis. That can be in a bit of a way. If you have the ability to follow instructions, you will be going into a trance. That's all hypnosis is, the ability to follow instructions. The other thing is intention. Do I want to go into trance? They're the two main things. Let's just say if you're working with a child, so you're a hypnotist or you got a child and you want them to change because they've got issues and stuff. Well, that child's got to be willing to listen, right? And that can be pretty tricky depending on the age they are. But they've got to have the desire to do it and have the ability to follow instructions. If you can't follow instructions and you're not willing intentionally, that will be the only two reasons as to why you wouldn't go into the program. Let's go ahead and see. I'm just scrolling. If I miss any, let me know. And if not, we'll do it after. Is there hypnosis to become a better communicator? If you type in, I believe, communication, Joseph Clough, hypnosis, I think I've got one. If not, I can put it on the list. But I think I've got one. I actually did a whole podcast episode on it. I know I did. It's like how to communicate with anyone. Okay. I think that may be it. Oh, I'll answer some others in a second. Yeah, if I missed one, let me know. Let me finish up the podcast episode itself. But put a Q in the chat on the new questions, copy and paste if you need be. But let me finish off this episode. It will be edited out if I make a memory right there. I've got to remember that. So, I hope you enjoyed some of these questions that we had today. And if you have any other questions, join our live stream. I'm always happy to answer them even after the live stream experience. And of course, if you ever need my help, you can go to josephclough.info/talk. And that way, and not only if you're like really committed and decisive and you want a fully customized experience, custom hypnosis. We plug you into a powerful group of people to get you to where you want to be. Go ahead to josephclough.info/talk and you'll fill out an application form, you'll book a time, and on that one-to-one call, we'll get clear on exactly what you're going through, exactly what you want to let go of, what's getting in the way, figuring out the outcome, and if we can solve it fully and completely, then we'll absolutely show you how we'll do that within our system if you're a good fit. So with that, my friends, I look forward to speaking to you in a future episode. And of course, if you're listening to this on the Apple podcast, I greatly appreciate a review. It just means we help more people in the world. They'll hear or see your words and go, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. Once again, hypnosis can be a little bit scary for others, but we need to be able to let go of that and really get them to understand there's another way of being, and you can help with that by leaving a nice little review on the App Store or the podcast area itself on your phone. So with that, I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Many thanks and goodbye. Okie dokie. It's always tricky doing Q&As and making it into a podcast episode, because you're communicating, which is great, but I couldn't decipher which one was a question or a chat. Okay, now I'm just scrolling down. Awesome. Perfecto. I love it. Love it. I'm trying to think. There was another Sophie. There we go. Thank you, Sophie. That's so kind of you. Appreciate that. And you're amazing. You're a superstar. That's what you do. You win. Did I miss any other questions? Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you too. Oops. I love it. Thank you. Not trying, we are doing our best. Doing our best. Yeah, I think we feel separated. That's not even the program. The last one, the group coaching call we had, was so awesome. So the theme was love. That was the theme that I chose for the group coaching call. And then for like 15-20 minutes after the call, we just started speaking one another and really connecting with one another. And that breaks down a lot of disconnection. To be seen, heard, and felt, to see other people shining, to give you permission to do the same. Thank you very much. I see other people. What? I have no preference on inductions. I literally just see whatever happens as I happen, because I've got an NLP training, hypnosis training coming up soon. So I teach them the handshake induction, eye stare, lots of different ones. Even, look, seriously, I teach them how to look in the eye and go into trance. We do that. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to the bottom here. Have a good one, my friends. Thank you for being here. Is there a hypnosis session to give oneself permission for whatever, forgiveness, let go? Honestly, I'd be looking more at the root cause. Like, is there a decision or belief about ourselves which creates that? That's what I would go. Because say forgiveness let's go lack of forgiveness is an emotional state. And I think emotions need to be released by giving ourselves permission on a deeper level about ourselves. So there are, like, I've got a forgiveness hypnosis session, by the way, but I'm just thinking as well, just make sure that you're working on the root cause. Awesome. I always find these Q&As really, really, like, I enjoy them, but they're disjointed. I feel like I'm delivering them in a disjointed way because I'm trying to read whilst answer and then also go back and forth to the questions. So I find that a little bit tricky. But I'm pleased you enjoyed it. You are more than welcome. Thank you for your questions. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. So speaking to your question, you got to find that safe container, right? You got to find that safe container. Like, you know, with us, we're going to just see, like, you could be saying something, we're just thinking, Nicole, you're a superstar. You're amazing. We love you. We want the best for you. Yeah, we'll be open, give you feedback and what have you, but we will be that container when we need to. How do I join your coaching programs? Depends which one. So I got the one which is letting go of the imposter syndrome. But also, if you're on about certification, we got one coming up at csnlph.com, California School of Neuro-Linguistic Programming and Hypnosis.com. That's a URL of ours, which gives you a lot of information. We only do like 2 a year. One's coming up. Maybe we just do one this year. Who knows? Depends where my time and energy is. On level 1, that is. And we're doing a master practitioner as well. So there you go. Those two, really. For personal development, letting go of the imposter and so on, josephclough.info/talk. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Did I say to you, Renee? Have a great week and nice to be here again. It was great to have you back. Like I said, it's all disjointed now, and the comments, that's what I find a bit tricky. Is imposter syndrome and performance anxiety the same or different? I would say it comes from a similar place, which means it could be it, but also could be separated slightly. But I'm gonna kind of say, yeah, they're the same thing, because imposter syndrome is like, what if I get found out? Performance anxiety is, am I going to be able to deliver? And I think behind that will become more of the root cause. So I think it's a branch off the same tree. That's what I would probably say. Awesome. I don't know if we got Master Prac there. But sometimes, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, got too excited again. Some people just go on other courses to get a different personality or a different person. So that might be a way as well. I would say focus on who you want to work with. What do you enjoy most? What are you most passionate about? If you're passionate about it, then absolutely. I mean, there's got to be money in it because you need to live and make an impact in the world, or reinvest, or support your neighbor, your family, and so on. So yeah, it's got to be money on it. But for example, I know someone who charges a significant amount of money on how to get people out of debt. Now think about that. These people have no money, they're in debt. But she charges a significant amount to get them out of debt. So there is always abundance everywhere. So I wouldn't be too concerned at times. But I would be going, who do I want to work with most? I love working with people with imposter and I'm not good enough because I went through that myself. So it really kind of hits my heart and passion when it comes to that. Is the past life thing legit field of hypnotherapy? Well, it depends on what you mean by legit, right? So I'm going to give you two definitions of past life regression. And I may upset both sides of the table here, and that's okay because we're all open-minded, wonderful beings. But we don't have to get upset. Right. Hypnosis and past life regression. Past life regression is true. One side of the argument or opinion. Now, even if you don't believe it, there are studies out there where, say, children give off information about a past life, about a certain thing that they went through way back when, and it baffles the person. Like they do research into it, even to the point where I've read some books before where like some birthmark, the kid would go, well, that's where I got shot in an arrow kind of thing. It's like, what do you mean? That makes no sense. And they reel off information location. But of course, they miss out a lot of information as well, whether it be in regression or these studies that they've done. So it can't be a fact that reincarnation exists, although it has been in lots of religious texts over the years. But that is one side of the equation, and I'm happy with that one. I don't mind that. I like to live like another life. I'm happy with this one, but yeah, I can buy into that. But here's the other side of the equation. The past life regression does not exist. And you're like, what? What do you mean? Well, here's why. So I'm gonna give you why they both exist. I've done one, here's the other one. Past life regression doesn't exist, but the place where they go in the past, treat it like a metaphor. What do I mean by that? Well, maybe the unconscious mind doesn't feel like giving you the real issue or the real event. Maybe it was traumatic, or maybe it was so small that you wouldn't get the right learning or epiphany from. So instead, it knows that we like stories, we like movies, we like it. The unconscious mind operates in symbols, right, as a way of being. So it provides you this metaphor, past life, that if you consider this story or this metaphor of this past life compared to the traumatic event or the nothing event, which we can't get much learnings from, that's where it existed, it'll give you a story, a metaphor to learn from. That is what past life is. So you choose whichever one you want. I really don't mind. I have my own opinions on it, but either way, it still means it can work. Does that kind of make sense? So I'm not putting hate on either side. I have my own beliefs on it, and I've done lots of reading and things like that, but that's two explanations of what past lives are. A metaphor, which is easier to learn from than the real experience based on trauma or nothingness, or it's true, and that would be why. Live chats will not get saved. They will be deleted as soon as this episode is edited. I do not edit these. Sarah, my assistant, will. Tomorrow, it is the weekend though, so I'll try to look back at them. What would you say the root of most issues are? Anxiety and trauma. What would you say the root? I always go back to identity. It's how we identify ourselves in the world, which creates anxiety. And then the trauma was the decision of the belief. So the trauma caused me to have a belief about myself. Mr. Cuddles is great. He's actually sleeping right over here. He's not in camera view this time. He's cozy as can be. I really love people who have trauma holds them back. I love seeing the weight lifting them. Yeah. So, but I'd be focused now. I'd probably niche down a little bit, like a specific trauma maybe, if you're really good at that. We specialize in tech startups. I am a co-founder in 2 startups and know of their associated anxieties. Also, my family were small business owners. Love it. Exactly, it's a metaphor in a past life regression. Yeah, so it can be both, right? Yeah. I get it. I think that similar passed down inherited cause of problem studies have shown in animals that you can train one generate some kind of trauma and reward the offspring will automatically know. Yeah, there is biology, which would be like a bit of a middle answer, but it doesn't really go into past life. But we are genetics, we are replications of 2 other people. Passed down the gene. I don't like this song. He's getting into too much. But genes are passed down. It's information. It's technology in a way, right? Sounds a bit weird, technology. It's a duplication. And that passes down. And then, like, we can go deeper into it. It could be if our body has, going back to actually MZ's point about trapped in the body emotion, well, if we have a lot of trapped body emotion and when we create someone else, does some of that energy or that blueprint, I'm not saying this is true, I'm just saying, putting it out there, can that be passed down? Because we know, biology-wise, that they say depression can follow in the family. But the good news is this, it doesn't mean it has to be activated, right? It doesn't have to be activated. Some people will have a disease, pass it down, but not always is it activated biologically. And the exact same thing can happen. We can turn things on and turn things on, in my opinion, but I'm no doctor. So I would say on this one is ask your unconscious mind. Here's a cool story, totally different. When my nan had cancer, she had to have some, I don't know, some kind of form of catheter or whatever it is. And it meant that she wasn't able to go to the loo very well or know when to. So my dad did some hypnosis and said, when it's time to go to the loo, you'll send this signal in this new sensation or thought, and it worked perfectly. So it's a different response. So if we can ask your unconscious mind, well, how can I have a better form of communication? What is a better form of communication which is not fear that you can present to me? And would you be able to follow that out? Awesome. Yeah, biology of belief. We talked about that in the book. Go back to belief again as well. Well, you always give interesting answers. I like to think the kids are really talking about past life. Yeah, well, I honestly try to see things from all angles. Here's the best way to, in general, to get out of conflict. Understand the person's viewpoints. That's all you do. Usually we're quick to judge someone who disagrees with us. That's why we feel separated. But if you spend as much time as learning and researching about the other person's opinion or how they came to that view of the reality, if you put much time into that, you're going to learn something and know they're not quite so different from you, right? And therefore, you're going to be able to speak with them in a different way without resentment or anger or stress or whatever it may be. So in the exact same way, the more, as that's as an analogy, in the exact same way, if we can try to understand the different viewpoints of the world, different intentions, model of the world, we can gain a greater perspective to then make better decisions about how we see the world. And then you can choose what you want. But it's hard to choose without all the evidence. And that's why I think the separation, or that's why I think we can be closed-minded sometimes. Exactly. I know from a personal point, we've gone way over. We've been streaming for an hour and a half. I know from a personal point that I have a few traits and likes and dislikes from my biological parents, and I grew up away from them. Yeah, there we go, right? Yeah, Bruce Lipton. My friend, Dr. David Hamilton. When I was in Cambridge, he used to speak at my group. So we used to get him down and speak a couple times. In fact, he was at I ran a conference, as me and this other lady ran a joint conference, and he was speaker for us 2 years in a row. And also a fellow Hay House author. Thank you, my friend. Oh, thank you. That's so kind. So kind. I think if you suffer something yourself, you authentically and do your utmost to make sure it's not replicated in your offspring as you've learned how to give them. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we don't want to pass down the same stories. I mean, I know you know this, Sophie, in general, because we've spoken about this in a way that, like, and we actually said this on this, but we know that 93% of communication is unconscious. So if we're saying the right words, but we're there in sociology, the first 7 years and 14 years is the imprint and the modeling age. We're showing a different story. We may be saying this story, but we're showing this story. So when you quit that story or that passed down story, what really, I mean, I have no children, but what really excites me of like how you're not only transforming yourself, you're transforming generations to come. Like generations. Isn't that crazy when you think about it? The ripple effects that you could make when you start to become the authentic self and step into your power and make that change. How it could be generational. If children have have more children and they have children and they have children, that whole path changes. And that's really exciting to me. Even with someone like myself who don't have kids, I think it can really change the world, right? Nice. Okay, my friends, we've been speaking for a long time. 90 minutes, and it's a Friday. And although it's a Friday, Sophie, it's actually your morning now. So I think we should call it an evening or a morning. Wherever you are in the world, an afternoon. I think I did. I think so. I think I did. You're more than welcome. Thank you for being here, my friend. Remember, the chat will disappear. It may be by the time you wake up, because my assistant is in England. So make sure you get the chat if it's there, because YouTube deletes the chat if the video is edited. And we cut out the beginning, the end. I might even have to make an extra edit because all the otherness, but the disjointedness. Feel better, my friend. Look, just think. Oh, wrong button over here. That's all the healing you need. It's just being sent to you. There you go. Been sent with healing. Sent me healing. And you're done. Feeling bad? Well, now you're fine. Look into the eyes, around the eyes, and 1, 2, 3, you've transformed. Well, it wasn't really a debate, it was more of a, I was right. Speaking of like kind of gaining information on both sides, I may not be doing it in this case, but I'm still right. I love it. Oh, I love it. Yeah, you sleep in, my friend. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I love doing what I'm doing. I got a bit of a sore back though, that's why I'm stretching a bit. Enjoy a pizza this weekend? Sounds like a great idea. Aw, thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, but let's forget that. Let's forget that. Oh, Judith, you got it as well. It wasn't for you. You have your own one, please. If you meant the healing. Wouldn't it be great if that was just what happens? There we go. I think so. I think so. Oh, thank you ever so much, Sophie. You are too. Why, thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. josephclough.info/talk to apply. To apply. Yeah, I think we're good to go. It's 4:30 my time. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. If you're still here, then I presume so, unless you really like punishment. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You are awesome. It is finished. No problems at all. I will be back on Monday for another live stream. I thought this would be a short one, but I'll be back on Monday. Look at that kind support we have. I'll be back on Monday once again. 3 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. East Coast, 11 p.m. in the United Kingdom. YouTube.com/Joseph Clough will be where I like to stream the best version of myself in quality. The YouTubers, no, the Facebookers get a slightly diminished version of me in audio. YouTube, nice. Well, I'm happy that it all helps, or it has helped. And that's due to the great community we've got here. So we've got to keep going live. But I will speak to you all on Monday if you can make it, if not Wednesday, if not Friday, if not all of them. So many thanks, and goodbye. Alexa, how many holes does a straw have?
Here is an answer from an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. A straw has only one hole.
No, you didn't say that a second ago. Alexa, how many holes does a straw have?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Well, everyone in the chat right now, she did say 2 holes to me first. But anyway, have a good one.